In 1979, a division most of America had never heard of, buried inside one of the biggest industrial names in the country, built a machine that every major competitor in the industry said was impossible. They called it the N6. It ran a rotor sideways, crosswise to the direction of travel, in a way no other combine on Earth did. Engineers at the biggest names in agriculture told their own dealers not to worry about it. They were wrong. Within months, that same rotor concept would power the largest combine in North America, a title it held for 20 straight years. And then the company that built it lost everything that made it matter anyway. Not because the machine failed. Not because farmers stopped believing in it. Because of something that had nothing to do with engineering at all. This is the story of the Gleaner N6, the combine that should have made its company untouchable and the decisions made far from any wheat field that made sure it never would. Go back to 1888, western Kansas. A boy is pitching wheat sheaves from before sunrise until it's too dark to see. His name is Curtis Baldwin, and he'll spend the rest of his life making sure no one has to do what he's doing right now. Curtis and his brothers, George and Ernest, become custom harvesters, men who travel farm to farm with the season, cutting other people's wheat because most families can't afford a combine of their own. Every jam, every lost bushel, every hour lost to a machine that wasn't built for the field. They've felt it personally. In 1923, working out of Nickerson, Kansas, the Baldwins mount a complete harvesting and threshing unit onto a Fordson tractor. One operator, one machine, no horse team, no 12-person crew. It reaps, threshes, and winnows crops in a single pass under its own power. They named it after a painting. 3 women bent over a field, gathering the grain the harvesters left behind. The Gleaner, the name is a promise. This machine won't leave anything behind either. By 1925, cash deposits flood a farm show in Wichita before a single unit ships. The order doubles, then sells out completely. Here's the detail nobody expects. The machine's most famous feature, that unmistakable silver skin, isn't a logo or branding. Paint doesn't survive a Kansas summer, so the Baldwins galvanize the steel instead. A practical decision becomes an identity. For the next 100 years, a farmer could spot a Gleaner across a wheat field without ever seeing a badge. Every innovation that follows comes from the same place. Men solving problems they've lived through. Augers replace canvas drapers that tear apart in the dust. A rasp, bar cylinder replaces spike. To threshing that wastes grain. None of it is invention for its own sake. It's farmers fixing what they know is broken. By the mid-1950s, Gleaner had built a reputation the advertising budgets of bigger companies couldn't buy. Elevator operators can look at a load of grain and tell you whether a Gleaner cut it before you say a word. That kind of reputation gets noticed. In 1955, Allis-Chalmers of Milwaukee, already the market leader in pull-type combines, buys the company outright. For years afterward, Gleaner's profits make up nearly all of Allis-Chalmers' total profit. A Missouri combine line is quietly carrying an entire Wisconsin industrial conglomerate. Then, in February of 1979, Gleaner does something no one in the industry believes is possible. They build the world's first transverse rotor combine. Every rotary design the competition is experimenting with runs the rotor front to back, feeding crop straight down the length of the machine. Gleaner turns it sideways. They call it natural flow. Crop doesn't have to be diverted or forced into position. It moves the way it wants to move. Fewer jams in heavy, wet material. Better balance on hillside slopes, where other designs pile grain to one side of the shoe. The N6 is where that idea gets proven. The N7 is where it gets scaled up, the same rotor concept, built into the flagship of the new lineup. and it becomes the largest combine available anywhere in North America. It holds that title for 20 years. Nobody matches its capacity until the year 2000. This is the peak. Gleaner, a brand name inside Allis-Chalmers that most Americans outside farming had never heard of, is sitting on technology the largest agricultural manufacturers on the planet can't touch. But the seed of the fall is planted in the very same room. Because while engineers in Independence, Missouri, build the best combine in the world, Allis-Chalmers itself is coming apart, overextended, and the agricultural division carrying the company on its back is also the most valuable thing left to sell. In May of 1985, Allis-Chalmers sells its agricultural business to a German company, Gleaner Deutz. The new entity is called Deutz-Allis. The first real decisions tell you everything. The Persian orange paint is gone. The engines underneath the still silver Gleaner combine changed to air-cooled diesels, built for the European market. Deutz already knows. American mechanics have spent decades on water-cooled diesel. That's what the manuals cover and the parts network stocks. It's the wrong engine for a Kansas wheat field. Chosen not because it served the farmer, but because it was already sitting in a factory in Germany. This is the moment the Baldwin principle quietly disappears. The question stops being what the field needs and becomes what the parent company already builds. The name stays on the machine. The reason for the name is not. While Deutz-Allis is installing engines nobody trusts, the competition moves. Case IH iterates fast on its own rotary system. John Deere does something more dangerous, building a service network deep enough that a repair truck can reach almost any farm in the country within an hour. In 1990, the company changes hands again, bought out by its own management, and renamed Gleaner Corporation AGCO. Between 1985 and 2000, Gleaner keeps losing ground, not to a worse product, but to companies with broader dealer networks and deeper reach. You might assume the machine got worse. It didn't. The real problem was never the combine. It was the dealership. A farmer isn't just buying a machine. He's buying the guarantee that when something breaks at 11 at night during a 3-day harvest window, there's a parts counter and a mechanic close enough to matter. As AGCO spreads its resources across Massey Ferguson, Fendt, Challenger, Heston, and a growing catalog of other brands, Gleaner dealerships start disappearing town by town. Farmers who stay loyal describe the same pattern the local dealer folds, and the closest one left is 60 miles away or more. The machine is still excellent, but the belt isn't on the shelf, the mechanic isn't down the road, and the harvest window closes anyway. Next time, that farmer doesn't buy the better machine. He buys the one with a dealer he can reach before the rain comes. In 2000, the Independence, Missouri plant, where Gleaner had built its best machines for 75 years, closes for good. Production moves to Heston, Kansas, just 35 miles from where the Baldwin brothers started it all in a barn. The company that made the decision never built a single machine there themselves. That's the collapse. Not bankruptcy, not a headline, a quiet handoff of everything that once made the brand mean something. Until the machine that terrified John Deere for 50 years became one-line item inside $14 billion portfolio. In 2023, exactly 100 years after the first Gleaner rolled out of Nickerson, AGCO released a centennial edition of the S9, still running the transverse rotor design the N6 introduced almost half a century earlier. The philosophy the Baldwins built into a machine in 1923 is still, technically, alive inside the steel. And here's the part that stings. The rotor design John Deere once told its own dealers not to worry about is, decades later, the exact principle the entire industry builds around. Gleaner won the argument. It just didn't survive long enough to collect on it. It's a niche now, instead of the standard. The machine didn't lose to a better machine. No rival engineering team out built Gleaner in the field. It still moved more crop with fewer jams, still held its balance on hillsides other machines couldn't, and still put more capacity through a single pass than anything else on the market for 20 straight years. What Gleaner lost to wasn't a combine but a reaper. It was a system, dealers, ownership, capital, priorities built around it, or not built around it at all. The product didn't fail, the company around it did.